Hello, my name is Daniel Kazort, and my final project is going to be over the 6 archetypes by Carl Jung in Chapter 9, the psychoanalysis chapter.
And I'm going to be using the movie Whiplash from 2014 as my case study.
So without further ado, let's dive right in. Carl Jung's archetypes, which I'm only going to be talking about 4, starting with the persona, the shadow, the wise old man, and the earth goddess or great mother. So one thing I really found interesting about Carl Jung's archetypes that he introduced were the shared parallels between what Sigmund Freud talked about as far as the way he broke down human psyche with ego, superego, and id. So to do a quick rundown of Sigmund Freud's interpretation of the human psyche, he starts with the id, which is the irrational, primitive part of the psyche. It stores fears, wishes, and needs, desires. Now, the superego is more dealing with the moral conscious and is able to impose guilt and is seen as the supermoral and kind of seen as a father figure or role model in most ways. And then you have the ego, that is the thinking part of the psyche. It learns from experience in order to develop and become stronger, and it looks for ways capable of transforming the id's will into action, and it acts as a mediator or referee in finding a compromise between the id and the superego. And the ego is also typically represented by the hero, and the ego must suppress and control the id. So it's this constant battle. And I like one thing that Sigmund Freud says. He says the mind can be seen to be in a permanent state of struggle due to the conflicting nature of the 3 layers of the psyche. Now, take Carl Jung's archetypes. So let's start with the persona, which apparently literally means mask, is the image that we show to the world, which makes or hides our shadow archetype, and it is the way we want to present ourselves to create a good impression. And similar to the ego, the persona gathers knowledge from experiences. However, this can be a false image or a facade because we can use our persona to manipulate or mask out true nature and pretend to be who we are not. Now enter the shadow archetype, which is at a constant battle with the persona, much like the ego and the id. So the shadow is everything in us that is unconscious, repressed ideas, weaknesses and desires, sex and primal instincts, represents uncontrollable impulses which we try to control and hide from others, hiding our shadow archetype behind the mask of our persona. And Jung believed that the shadow archetype is the most dangerous as it does not recognize boundaries. The shadow exhibits tenacity, the ability to finish arduous work, is responsible for creativity, energy, and staying power. And you can definitely see some correlations between the persona and the shadow and the ego and the id. Now, this is just my personal opinion on what I perceive, but in a way, I find Carl Jung's archetype of the wise old man and the earth goddess / great mother to kind of be a amalgamation of what Sigmund Freud would consider the superego, which is the supermoral and able to impose guilt and is seen as a father figure / role model. So with all this, I decided to choose a movie that I think encapsulates these 4 archetypes very well and paints what it is for these archetypes to communicate with each other. Now, Whiplash is about this young freshman drummer in a music college. His name is Andrew Neiman, played by Miles Teller. And he is a very good drummer, but you can tell not only is he a good drummer, but he's a driven and dedicated drummer. And as you see through the movie, he worships Buddy Rich, which is an amazing drummer, jazz drummer from back in the day. But the thing about Andrew is he's constantly pushing himself, so much so that as a freshman, he's in the lower level classes and he's kind of overplaying on drums. And they're like, oh, let's stick to the easy stuff. So he has this deep seated desire to be better while being stuck in this position of, oh, you're a freshman, let's tamp it down some, you know. So obviously in this movie, Andrew is seen as the persona, or how Andrew presents himself to the world is the persona, and to me, his desire to be one of the greats as far as drumming goes is the shadow, in hiding behind the mask of the persona. Enter Terrence Fletcher, which is played by J.K. Simmons, which, in my opinion, I think, or at least in this movie, he represents both the wise old man and the earth goddess / great mother. So on to the archetype of the wise old man and the earth goddess / great mother. And why I think that Terrence Fletcher is a perfect amalgamation of those two archetypes, and in some way embodying the superego that Sigmund Freud would label as the superego. So we got the wise old man, the archetype that possesses profound knowledge, often enables people to overcome problems and lead to a better life, and they're frequently mentors. However, take the earth goddess / great mother. She's both nurturing and destructive. This archetype can give birth, but can equally well destroy her young. And in this movie, I feel as if Terrence Fletcher, J.K. Simmons' character, embodies both of those so well, because not only is he the wise old man, but he is also the earth goddess / great mother, the nurturing and destructive at the same time, which in his way turns out to be kind of ruthless and mean, but he means well, and it's for a reason. It's not just for cruelty or anything. Like, he is a pusher. He wants the people that he believes in to do as well as they can, like hit that threshold of greatness.
So that's my take and expansion on Carl Jung's archetypes. I've been Daniel Kazort. Thank you for listening.